Okay, so now I'm going to do question 10.12. And so Richardson Ski Racing, RSR, sells equipment needed for downhill ski racing. One of RSR's products is fencing used on downhill courses. The fence product comes in 150-foot rolls and sells for $215 per roll. However, RSR offers quantity discounts. The following table shows the price per roll depending on order size. So this is quantity ordered from 1 to 50, it's 215, 51 to 100, it's 195, and so on. And so the RSR file, which is here, contains 172 orders that have arrived for the coming 6 weeks. Use the VLOOKUP function, so that's the new function we're going to use here, with the preceding pricing table to determine the total revenue from these orders. And then for part B, we're going to use the COUNTIF function to determine the number of orders in each price bin. And because we're going to find out how much is in each price bin, I'm also going to determine kind of the percent of each of those for each of the orders. So what I've done is I've added some items that we need to actually calculate. So it just gave us the order and quantity, and it gave us this. And so what we need to do is, with this order, it gives us this quantity. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look up this quantity over here in this table, and then that's going to tell us what price. So it's 51 to 100. That's going to tell us it's going to be a price per roll of 195. And then our revenue is just going to be the quantity times the price per roll, and that's how much we're going to make. And so we need to do all this with functions, the VLOOKUP, and then just the product, and do that one. And then what it wants us to do is do the COUNTIF over here. And so we'll use the COUNTIF function, and then, like I said, I want to kind of figure out the percent of orders. So what percent is this number, and what percent is this number, and so on. And so we're actually going to have to get a total down here, and that will tell us kind of the total of this number of orders. So we know that, so we can do that percent of orders. All right, so the first thing we need to do for the price per roll is we're going to use the VLOOKUP. So equals VLOOKUP, okay? And we need to look up value, the table array, the column index number, and the range output. So what are we going to look up? Well, we're going to look up that value, comma, and then we're going to look up our array. So basically, we're going to look up from right here to here, okay? And so that's going to tell us our array. And then we're going to say comma, and then we're going to have a 3, because what we're going to do is we're going to look at this table and figure it up, and then we're going to say, okay, well, what do we want to base it on? We're going to bring in the price per roll over here. So comma 3. And then we really don't need to put that last thing, so we can just hit enter. And it tells us 195, and that's what we saw before. 51 to 100 should be 195 for 86, okay? Now, with this, what I really want to do is I'm going to have to edit this. I'm going to put dollar signs here because I'm going to copy down, and I don't want this part changing, okay? So that needs dollar signs. Now, revenue, that's just going to be equal, again, to the quantity times the price, and so that's how much I made. Now, we could put this in dollar signs and all that, but for now, I'm just going to leave it really plain Jane and not worry about that. So now that gives me the VLOOKUP, and let's just test it, see if it works. 452, well, greater than 201, that should be 155, that's what it is. And, you know, if we multiply those together, we should get that. So what I'm going to do then is copy down and hit Control D. And it wants the value is the total revenue is what we want for part A. So we've calculated all these revenues, so now I'm just going to sum them up. And that's why I kind of put that there to remind me to sum these up. And then I hit enter. And so this would be our value for the total revenue for part A. So now let's go to part B. All right, so part B, now what we want to do is number of orders. Okay, so we're going to have to use the COUNTIF function, it said. So equals COUNTIF. Okay, well, what's our range going to be? Well, our range is going to be here. And so we're going to go all the way down. don't include that one. And then comma, and then now we have to go back up here, and then our criteria is count if it's $215. Hit parenthesis. Now it says 13. Now I want to copy this down, and if I copy down, it's going to start moving the column down. So I need to, again, put $signs here. Okay. And so when I do that, Control D, so it looks like a lot of them are the over $201. And then after that, there's quite a few here, and then and lower as you go. And again, I'm going to sum these up so I can use that to do this percent of orders. So really, technically, that is part B. I'm adding to that just to make kind of add to the problem. And I'm just going to say, what is the percent of the order? Well, that's just going to be equals to this one divided by this one. And now I know if I copy down, I really have to make sure I put my $signs here. So I'm going to do that before I even hit enter. And if I want, I could convert that to a percentage. And so let's first do that. Well, maybe we can highlight that, and we can format cell to a percentage. 2 decimal places is fine, and that gives me my percentages. Okay, and if we wanted to, again, these are prices, so we could make these dollars. We can go ahead and highlight that. That's fine. Currency, 2 decimal places is fine. Since none of these really have 2 decimal places, we really could do 0, and then that would be our value. Okay. And so that would be exactly what they would be looking for here. We got our total revenue down here, 7,107,505. And we got the number of orders for each of these items here. And that was what part B was. If we look here, it says use the COUNTIF to determine the number of orders in each price bin. So that's the price bin. And now we know there was 13 of those, 15, 37, 107, for a total of 172. And that was the percentages of them. And that's, again, just something I did extra to kind of show you something you could use to go to the next step, because some other problems will have you find what percent is that, and so you'll need that. So hopefully this helps you, and the key items here were the VLOOKUP and the COUNTIF.